January 6th, Saturday in Christmas time. Life is a constant battle for many of us. For some, it is a struggle just to survive or to find security. For those who have the ability to think beyond their immediate needs and be concerned with the greater good and the needs of others, it can be a struggle against injustice, prejudice, ignorance, disease, violence, and other forces that degrade human life. With so much at stake, we have to use whatever weapons we have. One of our most powerful is our human reason, our ability to understand our world, ourselves, and one another. The pursuit of truth is not just a theoretical exercise carried out by philosophers and other academics. It's the foundation of a happy, healthy, meaningful human life and a just and peaceful society. That is why the evil forces rooted in our human sinfulness are constantly seeking to corrupt the truth. They either try to undermine it by promoting falsity or use the power it gives them to try to dominate others. Something else is needed. Today's first reading provides it. In it, John the Evangelist, in his first letter, describes a deeper, more perfect truth that comes from God in the Spirit. It is belief in Jesus as God's Son. This is the truth that conquers the world and its sinful tendencies. This truth is established by the witness of the blood and water that flowed from the side of Christ in his sacrificial death, and by the power of the Spirit that testified to his unique identity as God's Son. The Church, following the evangelist, sees this as a reference to our sacramental life. The one who believes in Jesus is transformed by the waters of baptism, is freed from sin by his blood shared in the Eucharist, and filled with new life, the life of the Spirit, thereby becoming, quote, the victor over the world. Today's gospel echoes that theme. In it, John the Baptist points to Jesus as the one who will, quote, baptize you with the Holy Spirit. And as Jesus is baptized, the Spirit is seen as descending on him, and the voice of the Father identifies him as, quote, my beloved Son. How do we gain this divine truth? It is the opposite of how we pursue human knowledge. Rather than assert our own powers as we do in seeking to understand our world, we must approach God in humility, acknowledging our unworthiness, as John the Baptist did, in the presence of Jesus. This is what opens us to the Spirit and the wisdom the Spirit brings. I recently came across a beautiful example of that dynamic in the book Rough Sleepers by the author Tracy Kidder. It describes the work of Dr. Jim O'Connell, bringing medical care, friendship, and help to homeless people in Boston. Dr. O'Connell was just finishing his residency at Mass General Hospital when he was asked to spend a year setting up a program to bring medical care to the homeless in the city. Initially, he was sent to a clinic run by a group of nurses in the inner city. Naturally, he wanted to get to work as a doctor, using his expertise to treat the many diseases and disabilities he found there. But the nurses told him to put aside his stethoscope and go help bathe the feet of the patients there. Reluctantly, he did what he was told. After several days, the people he ministered to began to show some trust and open up to him, and he began to understand the very different world they lived in and their unique stories. He came to see them as human beings, not just as cases. Only through this understanding, he came to realize, could he gain their trust and be effective in treating them. That began a decades-long career of not only running several clinics for the homeless, but of going out night after night and seeking them out where they lived, so he and his team could bring them some comfort, compassion, and healing. We have been given great gifts of intelligence, learning, and creativity. We should use them to help others and make the world a better place. But unless we have the wisdom and power of the Spirit, our efforts will ultimately be in vain. We receive that through our walking with Jesus and sharing in his sacrifice, most especially through our contact with his beloved poor and marginalized. That is where he can always be found.